the repairs are getting more and more expensive. So when cars are going out of town, but even on the pretty basic cars that we sell, the car goes wrong and it's £300-400 minimum every time, isn't it? You bought a car, and pretty much the same as how everybody starts, put a car on the drive, and 1 became 2, became 4, became on and on until we ran out of room at my house, my grandparents' house, my girlfriend's house, and thought we better go for it. We've had 12 years of consistent growth. Every year it's become bigger, more sold more cars, made more money every year. And then this is the first year where I think it's going to take a bit of a dip. So I just don't feel I'm getting the value for money anymore.
Hello and welcome to episode 26 of DealerPod, the podcast where we talk to motor trade industry experts nationwide to find out about their businesses and gain any insights that they may have to help you with your car sales operation. My name's Stephen Douglas and I'm joined as always by Scott Sibley and Martin Carr. Today's podcast is sponsored by Dealerway, the UK's fastest growing platform for motor dealers to trade cars safely and transparently. Today's guest is the owner of Bowens Garage based in Hertfordshire. I'd like to welcome to the podcast Mr. Theo Cook. Hi, Theo. How are we doing, mate? You all right?
You're right.
How's the job, mate?
I will correct you, Stephen. It's Herefordshire, not Hertfordshire.
Oh, is it? Oh, well, there you go.
It's a good start.
Blame your website then. Blame your website because I'm sure I copied that straight from your website and put in my little notes there. Unless I've done that wrong. That's why I've got no customers and they're all going to the wrong place.
Website's coming up.
All right, check the website more and see if I've got that right. Drum roll, please.
Theo, are you not very far away from?
I mean, just say Herefordshire.
We're an hour from Cardiff.
And what about Gloucester, Cheltenham?
Yeah, Cheltenham, Gloucester, about 35-40 minutes. So they're our local big towns, really.
Right.
Yeah. So go to Cheltenham.
Yeah, I think
for the horses.
Oh, that was good. Because when we did on Joe's podcast and I was on there, that's when obviously I first met you, and you're saying that where you're situated is well, not like in the middle of nowhere, but it's quite remote. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like we're on a motorway. We're by the M50 there, but it takes it's an hour to anywhere, if you know what I mean. Like there's no big towns that are close, so it's an hour to Bristol, an hour to Birmingham, an hour to Cardiff. Everywhere's an hour. So yeah, I think it has its pluses and its negatives. Obviously, you got a real core of local customers, but obviously anybody else is going to have to travel, and we haven't got a train station, or we have it at our one site, but not here. So I think it has its pluses and its negatives. Obviously, there's not many dealers around, so that makes it a little bit easier locally. But yeah, it's just can't help where you're born, can you? So
I was going to ask you because I've been doing some thinking because I'm not a full shilling sometimes, so I think about weird things. But in the motor trade, who would you say, as far as dealer partners go or suppliers, who would you say gets the most abuse? Like in the various groups when you talk, if you thought like they're number one, everybody's always having a go at them. Who would that be? Do you think, as in a company or a person?
I think it changes, doesn't it? I think sometimes warranty get hammering. I think they probably get the biggest load of stick, don't they? I would say.
Right.
And then
I wasn't sure if you were going to say Autotrader.
Well, it depends. I've got them behind me at the minute, but I should have ripped it down before we came on. Actually,
he's led you into that, hasn't he?
The thing is, when we're all having it away, Autotrader's the best thing in the world, isn't it? It's only when it starts to go a bit quiet that people start going, well, I don't like that. They're being robbers, and I think it just depends on how the market is, doesn't it? Yeah. I mean, sometimes your warranty company will be great until they say no, and then they're a pile of poo, aren't they? So
yeah. I noticed in the background you've got Evolution Warranties, I think.
Yeah, just signed up with them last week.
Yeah. Oh, so you haven't really got a fix on how good they are.
Yeah, it's a bit of a step into the unknown for us because we've only ever done our own warranties, and I think we're missing a trick by not upselling. So we did a 6 month, which was our own, because as you'll all know, the repairs are getting more and more and more expensive. So when cars are going out of town, even on the pretty basic cars that we sell, car goes wrong and it's 400 quid minimum every time, isn't it? So we thought we'd have a look, and it's been quite difficult to get a company that'll fit in with what we want. So us doing the 6 months, we still want to do that, but then upsell a product that I think is on paper still representing good value with breakdown cover and all that sort of thing that you'd want with it, which we can't offer on our own package. So we'll see how it goes. It's literally, we haven't sold one yet. We only joined this start of the week, so we'll see how that works out.
Did you choose that? Did you choose them for any particular reason?
I put the word out to the boys in the group, and Stephen said he was with them at the minute, but wasn't quite sure.
Yeah.
The guy, Derek, the account manager who came to see me, used to be with Autoguard, and we were with Autoguard for a little bit, and he was really good, to be fair, and he's jumped ship and moved to them. So he came and saw us like as soon as we put an inquiry in, he was there the same day. So it's just got a decent feel about it, but the reason we haven't done it for so many years is because we're skeptical about warranty companies in the first place, obviously, because it's an insured product, isn't it? So we don't want to sell stuff that isn't good value to the customer, and it's quite hard to convince yourself. Going back 30 years, my dad was in the warranty business, so obviously he's been on the inside looking out, and now he's on the outside looking in, and I think he's very skeptical about it all. And what you don't want is to be selling products, especially to people locally, that are a waste of time, because people are still going to be on the phone. We've still got a workshop here, so they're still going to be turning up every 5 minutes. So it's going to be difficult to then say, well, speak to the warranty company, we can't help you, sort of thing. So it's quite a big step for us, to be honest.
So traditionally, when you did sell a car sort of outside your area, and that, you know, you had a customer on the phone and they had a problem, would you get that, try and get that customer back to yourself, or would you just let them choose where they wanted to go and pay the bill?
Yeah, so we said it was 70 quid an hour maximum. You can't take it to a main dealer unless we authorise it beforehand. And we've got to have a quote from the garage. Now, obviously, not all garages are happy to work with other garages, but we're really friendly. So we always say, look, just get the garage to give us a call if they've got any reservations. We'll speak to them about it, and then, you know, get them to check out our reviews on Google and all that sort of thing. And 9 times out of 10, it's been absolutely fine, to be honest. I think once you speak to the garage, it's when people go in and they start demanding that you look at their car and the other garage are going to pay for it. People then get a bit, garages shy away, don't they? But I think if you make it clear to the customer in the first place that they're going to have to help out a bit. So we always get the customer to pay for the diagnosis if they're not going to bring it back here. And that stops people. We didn't used to do that, but people used to take the car into a garage after like 5 months and 3 weeks. And then we'd get a diagnosis bill for 80 quid for nothing wrong with the car. So we put into that. And that's made a big difference, because people will only generally then take the car in if it's faulting.
It's bad, isn't it, when people do that?
It's a juggling act with warranties, isn't it? I don't know the best way to go about it. I'm sure you boys have flip-flap between different companies and different ways of doing it, and it is hard, isn't it?
I found I've stayed with the same two since day one for 15 years, and they've always been good. Warranties 2000 is good, and Auto Protect's good, and I don't know if you build up a relationship with them, and then it's all to do with how much money you're giving them in the pot, that, you know, their pot, if you like, you know, your burn rate and things like that. And
I think that's the trouble, because we've had, obviously we were with Autoguard for a bit, but because we were skeptical, we might sell one a month. Well, it's no good to them, so the customer support and crap, because they're not interested. No, it is building. Well, the whole trade's about building relationships, isn't it? To be fair.
Oh, of course, yeah. Theo, just we went off piste a little bit there. Just getting back to you. Just tell her how it all started, and I know you're in business with your dad, aren't you?
Yeah.
For 2 years, and I had a little bit of a similar story to that. But then me and my dad clashed, so we went separate ways. But
we do, don't worry.
Yeah. So can you just take me back? Tell everyone a little bit about yourself, about your dad, and how he's got involved.
So 2011, I came out of college. I wanted to be a golfer, and I wasn't quite good enough. So mum and dad said, "You better get a job, son." So I went to uni for like 9-10 weeks doing economics. Hated it. I was in Aberystwyth, which, if you've ever been there in the winter, is a pretty bleak place to be. So I dropped out in December 2011. Got a job at my local go-kart track, where I still go all the time. And he's one of my best mates now and one of my ushers at my wedding and that. So shout out to Herefordshire Raceway. I better put that in because he'll shout. So yeah, that was the start of 2012. And then we bought off. Dad was coming up to 50 and wasn't in the motor trade at the time. Had sort of gone out of it, but asked if we wanted to get back in. So we bought a car, and pretty much the same as how everybody starts, put a car on the drive. And 1 became 2, became 4, became on and on until we ran out of room at my house, my grandparents' house, my girlfriend's house, and thought we better get we better go for it. So I had a look around locally, and it was sites are not available around here at all. We ended up nearly using our local garden centre, which is a big garden centre, and they had like an overflow car park, but it was never ever used, and we knew the manager there, and we nearly got that sorted, which in hindsight is a good thing we didn't, because it would have been a right pain in the arse taking cars to mechanics and backward and forward and backward and forward. And then this place in Ross came up, which is about 18 miles from where we live, and it was just a workshop, so it was a big 5-bay MOT and service centre, which had been around since the 70s. And the family were looking to, it was the father's originally, he passed it on to his daughter, and she'd run it for about 10 or 12 years and was looking to, they had some of the properties in the town, and they were looking to chill out a bit, really, in their mid-40s, which is nice. And so we took it on as a going concern. So bought, hence Bowens Garage, because I'm not a Bowen, so bought it. Bought it as a business, which was a lot of money, which we had to borrow quite a bit for. Just jumped at it. Neither of us had any service experience. Neither of us had ever run a workshop. Neither of us were mechanically minded. Everything Dad did in the past, he'd worked for Inchcape and that sort of thing, was all sales and business management and that sort of thing. So yeah, took it on. At the start, I think we signed on the dotted line on New Year's Eve 2013. So just went for it. And luckily all the staff stayed when we jumped in. Ran it as a workshop for the first year was bloody difficult, I got to say. That was tough because we'd paid an awful lot of money for the business in the first place, and then you haven't really got a clue what we're doing. So the owners stayed on for about 3 or 4 months just to get our feet under the table. But you're in a very small local town, and all of a sudden new owners after 45 years at the same family owning a business was quite a lot of people to take on. Yeah.
It's nice though that they stayed on to help you, though.
Yeah, they did, and we still get on with them really well. We're on our second 10-year lease now, so obviously we get on with them, right.
Was that part of the purchase agreement that they had to stay on? Was that part of the deal? Yeah.
And they said they'd happily stay on for 12 months if we needed them to, but after 4 or 5 months we were sort of.
And did you retain all the staff for what they had with the business originally?
All of them, yeah.
It's good.
And to be fair, even 12 years later, we've still got 4 of them. So
right,
it's good, isn't it?
Good, yeah.
Good. We look after them; they look after us, and obviously it works both ways, doesn't it? On that side of thing. So we had when we moved here, we had about 6 or 8 cars, and then where I'm sat now, it was all just like wasteland, and it was used for scrap cars and just workshop crap, So we turned it into after the first year, we turned it into tarmacked it all and turned it into a pitch, and got up to about 25 cars, and then ran like that really for about 5 or 6 years, just with that number of cars. And we were doing all the balloting ourselves, me and Dad, and didn't have obviously we had the mechanic side of it, and then it was just me and Dad, and then decided that we were selling as many cars as we could physically handle by ourselves, but the demand was there. So we took on a site in Hereford, which is where we're both from, which is by the train station there, which we've still got, and bought some valeters in and that sort of thing, and that's where we're at now, really.
So the site that you've got in Hereford, then, that's what's there then? Is that where you have valeters or?
No. So that's unmanned. So it's like it's quite a nice little strip actually on the side of the road there behind the literally backs on, so the train track backs onto it. We can keep about 16 cars there. they're all there, nice, same as our pitch here, really, all nicely done. But we do everything by appointment across both sites because we haven't got salesmen, so everything by appointment. And then we just swap cars between the sites. So
I suppose if it works,
yeah. So we're not like a big franchise job where they've got hundreds of cars moving from site to site. It's quite manageable. We got 40 cars in total, so it's quite manageable, really.
Our sites are a mile apart, and one of my it's not a hate, but it's just life. We just constantly moving cars between the 3 sites. Constantly.
I was saying to Dad this morning, there's nothing worse. We've moved 3 cars across from 3 cars so far this week from one site to the other. So obviously it's taking 3 there, bringing 3 back, and it's an hour and a half round trip. To be fair,
I was to say it must be a funny hike.
Yeah, and then so all 3 cars we bought back, and then you haven't sold. All 3 didn't sell. Bollocks. That's annoying.
Yeah.
So can customers literally meet you at Hereford?
Yeah.
So if there was someone in Hereford, they can just meet you there, do everything there.
Yeah, so we both live there. So Dad will do the appointments there because I'm more hands-on here with the workshop and that sort of thing. So he'll do an appointment like first thing in the morning, 8:30, 9 o'clock in Hereford, and then he'll come to work here. And then he'll do it in the afternoon at 4 o'clock or 3:30, whatever.
Yeah.
So we just try and make it work for us so we're not wasting our time completely all the time. But obviously, you're in, isn't it? It's inevitable with customers that it doesn't always work out as much as you try and qualify them as best as you possibly can.
So your customer base, Theo, would you say it's low? Is it always local to you, or do you deliver all over the UK, or how does that work?
Yeah, we deliver nationwide. Because we sell, so obviously people, if they haven't seen this before, we sell very, very low mileage cars. So obviously some of them are quite, even though they're not specialist cars as in performance and that sort of thing, but they're quite specialist in the fact that they're the lowest mileage in the UK.
Right.
So yeah, we deliver quite a lot. We had one go to Kent this week. We've had one go up to Manchester this week. So yeah, obviously our core is local and repeat.
What would be the split? What would be a split between your, how much you deliver and how much you sell locally?
70-30, probably.
Yeah. We did an analysis. Actually, Ben just did it for me this morning, and 78% of our customers from August last year to now are within a 30-mile radius of where we are.
That's brilliant. I mean, obviously, the dream would be to have like 90%, wouldn't it? Where you're just dealing with big customers coming back, and that'd be great, wouldn't it? But yeah. The dream would be to leave those guys, not have to use them, and just do everything locally. It would be perfect for me, to be honest. But we're not quite there yet.
We were talking,
and every car never breaks.
We were talking about this the other week, and I think I touched on it when we were in Cardiff last week, and it was, when you talk about Autotrader packages and things like that, and we pay $15,000 a month, and I think we've got the boosted ads at the moment, and I've mentioned on podcasts before that the northeast like a little bit of a bubble in the country, and there's not much around us apart from water, fields, and then you've got Durham, which is where the cathedral's like a market town, and you've got Peterlee and Hartlepool with a marina, and Sunderland and Middlesbrough. So there's not really much around us, and so our catchment area, according to Autotrader, if you go onto Google, there's 1.9 million people in the northeast, and we pay $15,000 a month for our Autotrader package. If you were in like the northwest, Manchester area, so if we could pick up the garage and take it down there, they've got 7.4 million people in their area. So where we sell within 30 miles of our location, we're paying $15,000 a month for that. If we were in Manchester, the same dealer in Manchester, he's got 4 times the amount of opportunity in a 30-mile radius, paying $15,000 a month.
So 30 miles from us, Hereford's the big town where I live, and that's 60,000. Where I'm in Ross is 20,000. And then you've got Gloucester, which is the same as Hereford. Do you know what I mean? 30 miles. It'd be way less.
So you're paying
it'd be way.
So your Autotrader package is the same as somebody in London. Across the UK, they'll sell a package, and it's not determined on where you are. Like for instance, in the northeast, if we wanted a radio ad, which we've done radio over the years, and if you went to which was Metro Radio, which is now Hits, they would sell you your campaign based on reach. And based on, the ads are going to reach so many hundreds of thousands, and it's cost per commercial. And if you went to a radio station in, say, London, like a local station in London, their cost per reach or listener or whatever they call it was obviously going to be much higher. So then they would quote you more. So you to do with your reach and your listeners on your doorstep, you would pay more. And it's the same with TV, ITV, like up here, you've got the North and South transmit and so on. Whereas if you did a local campaign for ITV in London, it's going to be much more money. But with Autotrader, I suppose they don't look at the reach where you could say, you know, I'm paying $15,000 a month for my reach in my area, which I accept. But somebody in Manchester who's got, you know, they're all in there, they've got 4 times the amount on the doorstep for the same money.
Do you know what? I'd never even thought of that. But
well, I hadn't until last week. That's what I was saying at the start of the chat. I sometimes think of random weird things, but that was one of them. And I just thought, you know, because it happens with newspaper, press, you know, you want an advert in the Times with a national reach. You see that with Autotrader, I suppose that would say, well, you could be national if you did a search. So you're paying for the package, which covers the UK. But a radio station you can listen to digitally, which covers the UK. Your local TV and things like that. You know, there's other things that do that. And I suppose, again, if you take it one step further, it's down to the dealer. So if you had somebody like, sort of, I don't know, Alexander Prestige or Redline or somebody like that who's dealing in, you know, Lamborghinis and all that kind of stuff. If somebody searches for a Lamborghini, you're going to search nationally. Yeah, whereas somebody for a Qashqai or a Focus, a diesel Focus, you know, in the Northeast, they're going to do 30 miles. They're not going to do a national search. No. So it depends on your stock profile as well, what determines the search distance.
I was having this exact chat with my account manager yesterday because I put in 30 days to reduce my package. And, and obviously he was straight on the phone trying to tell me not to and all. And I gave him my reasons why. And he said, I'm sure you'll be putting it back up again. I said, well, let's see how it goes.
So what have you dropped to then?
So we did have 31 cars, which was costing 4,000. Well, once the stock boost ends, it'll cost 4,300 quid a month plus that. Mm-hmm. But we've got 40 in stock, and I was like, well, I want all of them on there really. So I've dropped to the starter package, and then 40 cars is going to cost 3,900 quid. So it's about 300 quid less to have an extra 9 cars.
I asked my account manager the same question just this week, and he emailed me the difference, and he says your clicks would drop on this package by so much %, and where you are now, because we're just on standard. And then if we went back to, because we tried enhanced twice, and then there was the ultra, and he gave me the different percentages, and then wanted to do like a Teams, you know, a chat about it. But I don't know.
I mean, I said I'm sure if we go into the higher packages, the performance will improve. But I don't care about performance, to be honest. I just want people to buy the cars. So if people are going to search for, he said, well, you won't come up in the relevant searches. I'm like, well, who really searches via relevant?
That's what they sell on. That's what they sell on is the relevant search.
Like you say, Scott, it's within 30 miles or 50 miles or
to
spend
low to high.
10 grand, and they search for the lowest price first, or they want the lowest price first.
And if you're on a starter package and they're saying you don't show up in the relevant search, well, what are you paying for? You know, you're paying them to your cars on their platform, and if they're saying, "Oh, well, you'll be lost on the platform, and there'll be other dealers ahead of you," But
I sort of stumped him when I said, "Well, our cars are some of the lowest. You won't find lower mileage ones for the car." And so I said, if people are searching mileage low to high, they're gonna see it, aren't they? You know, low to high, up to 10 grand or whatever. They're gonna find it. So I said,
do you think Autotrader get, you know, they get a bit of bad press in various groups, and you know, there's the haters who don't have their cars on there. Would you say it's all cost based? It's mainly because of how much it costs, or do you think there's problems with the platform or people don't like?
Like we said before, I think if you're selling, you know, like in COVID and whatever, when we were all selling hundreds of thousands of cars and everything was great, nobody mentioned Autotrader today. It's only, I think, because the cost is so high. Obviously, when it does go a bit quiet and things do change, then that's the first thing, you know. It's higher than my rent now, Autotrader. So it's literally the highest cost, apart from wages. It's the highest cost in the business. So I think it's the same. You know, as soon as it goes quiet, they're the first people. I've always been like a real praiser of Autotrader.
I am,
because I like the package, I like the figures, I like. The only thing I would say is I have spoke to a lot of customers who are saying that it's harder to navigate now in terms of the actual platform.
I think it is as well.
On the customer.
I agree. I think they've made it worse.
We did speak to somebody from Autotrader a couple of weeks ago. We did a Teams, and asked them a question about the market extension, what they have. And I think we touched on an earlier podcast where, you know, in Newcastle, say we were in Newcastle, and if you put into Google, which is, I would imagine, the number one search engine, hotels near me, it'll provide you with what you've asked it, which is hotels near me. They wouldn't give you one in London. And when you go onto the largest car platform or vehicle platform, whatever you want to call it, in the UK, and you search for a Ford Focus, you know, within 30 miles of me, and it shows you one in Devon, I don't think that's a good customer experience. I know why they do it. I know they're there to make money. That's got some serious, clever analysts in there, and, you know, clever people who run it. But I don't know if they're overlooking that they do it obviously for the money, but is it overlooking it for the customer experience?
Exactly. I think Chops did a video, didn't he, which did really well. I think it.
Did he?
250,000 views or something. And
what was it?
And he did a big thing about that. And in the comments, all the comments from the general public were just like, we just want to see the cars we're searching for. We don't want to see page 15 cars or however many cars on the page. We don't want to see 6 that are just not relevant to us whatsoever.
Yeah.
Well, that's why Google works the way it works. In Google's main sort of selling point is, you know, if you put in something like a relevant search term, we're going to show you exactly what's relevant to what you're looking for. Because if you're right, Scott, if you typed into Google, I don't know, dog collars, and then all of a sudden it started showing you cat collars or whatever, you know, something like that, you would like, oh, well, that Google's no good. I'm not going to use it anymore. It's not a good experience. And I think Autotrader maybe's lost a bit of sight of that when they're thinking, oh, how can we make the next quick buck? Do you know what I mean?
A few things that have annoyed us dealers from what we saw, as well as that, it's like the whole AI adverts thing. That should be, if you want, the adverts are not very good from what I've seen.
For it.
But secondly, if you want it, pay for it as an extension. And if you don't want it, you shouldn't should I be paying for somebody to write shit adverts that I don't want to see?
And if you're not using it, why pay for something you're not going to use? So exactly. normal companies, whatever they were selling, they wouldn't charge you for that. You know, if you weren't going to use it, you'd have an option to opt out, wouldn't you? Because we wouldn't use it.
I don't know how you boys have found the reservation thing, but we found it a bloody nightmare, to be honest.
I never used it. No, it sounded. We did one with Click Dealer when we first moved over to Click, which was Build Dealer or something like that. And I liked Jerry, and when Jerry was there at the time, I'm going back a few years, and he brought it in, and we trialed it, and I think we tried it for about 3 months, and it did nothing for us. And then they left it on our website by mistake, for which we should have been paying for, and we weren't. But it just showed that the amount of we didn't even know it was on there, because the amount of, like, you know, things to, like, for people to build a deal and get a part exchange and things like that, which is similar to the tool what Autotrader's just brought out. I think it's difficult for a consumer to. I mean, they can't even put the cars on motorway right, and, you know, and CarWow when you turn up the cars on described. So how are they supposed to put the details into Autotrader and get some kind of a generic, you know, valuation, try and build a deal all around it? It just sounds long-winded to me. I think, you know, you'd pick up the phone or you WhatsApp the dealer. You'd be able to move that on much faster than trying to go around that. It'd be a long-winded way of doing it, I think.
The bit that we would never have used it, but I was speaking to our manager, and he was saying that if you're not on the reservation feature, obviously, if somebody clicks in the filters to look at cars that are on the reservation, then obviously yours won't show up.
Your cars don't show up.
Same as the finance feature as well.
The number of cars, it was like 400,000 cars or something. So
I remember when I first started, it was 28,000 is what it was. So it dropped from 400. I can't remember what it was, 470,000 or something like that to 28,000.
Yeah.
So we were like, oh yeah. Well, of course we want to be on it, and it's a good feature. Apart from there's a story of a guy in the Midlands who reserved something like 27 or 28 A classes, and basically, so you just sat one night and went, right, I'll reserve every single car. And then so I know they're all mine, and then I'll ring every single dealer and play them all off, and then just cancel on the other 20 on all the other ones who doesn't play.
Yeah, I hated it because it was like, you know, we had a reservation on a golf at like 2:00 in the morning. There was no phone number. It was an email. You send them an email, they never respond. You got the car off the market. You know, and my cars.
It's the charge now.
I'm selling them or not.
It's opening more abuse as well, though, because if there's only 2 dealers in the country got the same car, and then they've got someone ringing up to come and see their car, you could put the reservation on the other dealer's car. So, they've got to buy yours.
Overall, it was just
and it's another fine.
Yeah,
just a few things that were getting on top of me, really. So I thought, right, well, we'll cut back a bit and see. But
we put a thing on our reservation on the website, which is a reservation for 24 hours. And that was it. And the fee was returnable after 24 hours or up until 24 hours. So if somebody reserves a car overnight, you've got to, when the sales team would have to speak to that customer and qualify them, did they have a part exchange? Did they want finance? Everything else. Because otherwise that car's off sale and you want to put it back on the sale. And some of the customers, they just reserve it and haven't even thought about it, don't know anything about the deal. So we need to get in touch with them quick. So that's why we put that on. And we found that massively reduced the amount of, messes is the wrong word, but along those, just like people just like, I'll reverse, they didn't know where they were going with the deal. So that got rid of all them, which reduced all the admin, because all the girls that keep saying, we're having to refund this and send the deposits back, which was a nightmare.
Do you not think though that they're trying to sometimes bring out all these different new features and different, trialing new things? Do you not think they just need to make it a bit more simple? Telephone number, WhatsApp number, that's it. And like
the way
go back to old school sort of ways, I suppose.
The way they did well in the first place was just selling our cars, wasn't it? Putting them in front of people's eyes and selling our cars, and they were charging lots of money for it, but we were selling lots of cars. They're trying all these things to keep up with somebody who's doing this a bit different, a platform that's doing this a bit different. But I think sometimes they're just trying to reinvent the wheel all the time, aren't they? And lots of it doesn't work.
Like I say, what bolt-ons?
For me personally, if I was going to sort of on the fly redesign how the Autotrader would work, it would be, how at the moment they'll give you, you can see more calls from this dealer. They'll show you a list of calls, and am I led to believe that they've took the logo out? Because I'm sure I've seen the logo. Yeah. Well, someone said that, but I went on the other day and I seen that some dealers still had their logos on. So I don't know if that's
maybe an overlay on the image.
Yeah, what dealers are doing now is in the picture.
Yeah,
but for me, that all Autotrader are doing is just taking all of the customization and the individualization of each dealer, and I think that's important for you to stand out, not just your car. Surely when somebody, if I'm paying what you're paying, Scott, 15 grand a month Autotrader, when somebody lands on one of my cars, I want to have like a massive big about section about Redgate Lodge, logos everywhere, all in my colours, promoting what you do, have my own video on. I know they've got elements of that, but it's very structured and very rigid, and it all looks the same. And customers, I suppose, sometimes they don't probably know who they're even buying the car from.
That's the problem, yeah. I think taking the logos up wasn't a good move.
No, I think everyone should have their logo. They should all have their branding on there, and you should be able to customize what you want to show on there and how you want it to look and how you want it to feel, almost as if you're having your own website inside of Autotrader. And I think customers would like that as well. It's more of an experience of like, you're not looking at the same thing over and over again. And, oh, look, they're a bit different. Oh, look what they do differently. And it's not just about the car then.
Why would you think they've taken the logo off? What do you think what's the thought behind doing it, would you think? Does anybody know?
Apparently it was to get more clicks on the cars because people wouldn't know whether it's a trade.
Yeah, but then that's
another dealer.
Private, yeah.
But then that gives the ability. So basically, you're clicking. A customer's then clicking into more cars.
Yeah.
So then, theoretically speaking, their statistics then look higher.
Exactly.
So then it gives them the data to then go to the dealer and go, well, actually, now you're receiving, 5 times the amount of clicks on your cars, and you pay more money.
Yeah, exactly.
And then also as dealers, when we're looking, I don't know if you just said that, might dropped off the internet, where the dealers actually click on all the cars now, because before you'd see who the dealer was, now you've got to click into it to see whose car it is. Unless they've got the overlay.
Yeah. Well, we take ours in front of our sign, so the logo is right there at the back.
Shows you.
Lots of people have got that sort of luxury, have they? And it's like locally, if people are searching for cars in Herefordshire or Gloucestershire, they've probably seen that plenty. And so if they see a car, they're like, oh yeah, I know where that's from. Same with you, Scott. Definitely up there. If they see a Redgate Lodge sign. But whereas
I suppose as well, like we're talking about Google before. If I Google, or if anybody Googles Redgate Lodge, it brings us up obviously at the top because that's the search. But then there's instantly there, you've got a big website button, visit dealer website, which Google's delivering, putting us straight on the website. And Autotrader used to have that a little bit more apparent, but now it's really hidden as well. Which I can understand why they've done it, because they want to keep you on the platform so they can control the sale and so on. But
I don't know, but why do they want that though? Why do they want that?
I think they want to justify the spend. So they say, we're going to charge you this, and we've created this.
But at the end of the day, all they are is a platform to enable the sale of a car. Exactly. And you're advertising on that platform. You want people clicking from that platform to your website or ringing your phone and come to see the rest of your cars. Yeah. You're paying the money for that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it seems like they're dictating, no, this isn't the way you should do it. This is the way we think you should do it. Yeah. We're in control. And it's just...
The thing is, well, the way they'll determine that is they'll determine it's their customer.
Yeah.
Because the customer's gone to Autotrader first. I know, but the customer's gone to Autotrader first and landed on one of your cars. Yeah, but then the customer then becomes yours.
Without the dealer's cars, they don't have a platform.
Oh, no. Well, that's the same as anything, isn't it?
Do you remember lockdown? I mean, lockdown, they made it free for everybody. And I think there was so many people in the trade were jumping through hoops saying it was wonderful and it was great that they'd made it free and it was really nice to do and so on. But, I mean, if I worked at Autotrader and you had every single dealer in the country cancelling their package, with phones ringing berserk because everything was in lockdown, you would lose the amount of damage that would do to Autotrader, because you'd be ringing up people after lockdown, ringing them up and saying, "Oh, hey, do you want your cars back on Autotrader? And we'll charge you that $15,000 a month again, or how much you're paying." And be like, "Actually, no, it's all right. I've left them on eBay. I'm fine.
And we're doing all right."
Yeah, and they would have just lost the whole market share of the business, and it would be harder for them and more expensive for them to try and encourage dealers to go back on. So that, in my opinion, if I were there, that was the only option to do, to put it out there, which was nice of them to do. Don't get us wrong, but they did it for a reason. That was the reason why they did it.
Yeah, and it feels like they're getting their own back now, big time.
Well, yeah, ramping up all the prices, and I don't know if timing's right with it. I think, you know, with certain businesses who are, if there's businesses out there and they're struggling, and you know, like I don't know, a coffee shop or a restaurant, and you know, they put the prices up a little bit because of overheads has gone up and NI and staff and all this kind of stuff. I get that, but there's some businesses and they're making like millions and millions and millions of profits. Do they need to? Could they have went another year without putting that up when everything else was going up? I don't know.
Yeah.
So what is it? They made the first quarter, was it 166 million or something like that? First quarter last year.
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah, just crazy.
Do you think if overnight everyone's Autotrader bills, let's say they were 25% of what they are now, what impact do you think that would have as a whole over the motor trade? Do you think cars would be more expensive? Do you think there'd be more of a, or less of a supply of cars? Do you think there'd be more people advertising on the platform?
There'd be more people on the platform because all those people who came off, usually it's down to money. It's not necessarily down to, you know, they're not liking the platform. So if you're paying 25%, they go, all right, we're back. And even though we hated Autotrader for years, we actually quite like them now. And they'd put their cars on. So I don't know, it would be interesting to know how many dealers who don't actually put cars on Autotrader, because Autotrader have got, 13,500 to 14,000 dealers on there. So how many dealers in the UK don't actually put their cars on Autotrader? How many of them could they encourage back?
Yeah, it's rumored at 25,000 independents, isn't it?
Yeah. James Alford at Platinum doesn't. He can't stand him, but I wonder if it was 25% of what it is now, whether he'd hop on there.
Yeah. I mean, again, I've said it before on the pod. I don't use Autotrader. You know, I don't have the need for Autotrader for the way our business is set up. You know, but I don't have anything against Autotrader. I think what they've done is phenomenal, really. And to be fair, when I first started on my own Autotrader, especially online Autotrader, helped me massively back in the day, and I think it was a great thing. I mean, it far outstrips the old magazine days. Even though I used to enjoy getting the magazine on a Thursday morning, dead early, trying to ring all the privates and get their cars cheap. But those days are gone now. But I don't have anything against Autotrader. I think Autotrader does a great job. I just think sometimes, I think the last 4 or 5 years, I think they might have lost touch really with an independent motor dealer. You know,
I think it's grown too big.
Massively. Yeah,
that's possibly a problem. It's gone too corporate.
I think for us, I mean, I've said this before, they're a massive part of our business, you know, even though the pricing tools, the data, people who work there, you know, and I'm a huge fan of yours. And I've always said, you know, they'll try things out that, you know, they did the part exchange tool, which I don't think worked for them. And they did, was it eye control or something? They got that good. And when they do things, it's quick for the motor trade to like laugh and snigger. It's something what's failed when all they've done is tried. And they've tried, you know, they've tried it, you know, and if they're charging their customers for it because they've brought something new in, well, you know, they've tried and it hasn't worked. And there'll be huge big businesses throughout the world who try things and they don't work. But at least having a go, you know. But then they'll do things where they'll change things where they'll make mistakes on things. Like if they've removed the logos, they might backtrack on that and think, look, we've had a lot of feedback from everybody and we thought we trialed it, but it didn't go down well. We might put the logos back on. But so they're all open to.
Do you think they ever listen to the feedback though? Do you think they ever listen to it? Because it seems like I've spoken to my account manager 100. He rings me twice a month now because obviously I keep learning, and we have long conversations, like 3/4 an hour. Yeah. And I point him in the direction of all the people that have off and we'll definitely pass it to the powers that be. And I'm sure, and it can't just be me that's complaining, and it can't.
Yeah. Oh no. I think the little WhatsApp group we're in, the three of us are in with, and Jamie Cable, I think, was having a meeting with Autotrader, and he'd asked in the group, has any points, and a few people had put some points in, but I was reading a lot of the points and all of interesting stuff, but it would be what Autotrader already know about. That's the key. They'll already know about all those things, and whether whether they listen or they don't, or they can't change something because of something, or another platform like Car Gurus offers something what they don't want to be seen not to offer the same. There'll be reasoning behind it, but I think everybody will be talking about the same kind of hates or bugbears, should I say?
How long can dealers be pushed? How far can they be pushed? You know what I mean?
8% every year.
Yeah, but can I ask you a question now, Theo? How much would Autotrader have to increase your bill by for it to not be viable for you and for it to just pull off the platform altogether?
No, it's close now.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I'm from Autotrader and I rang you today and I said, Theo, we're changing, we're increasing our prices, and your $4,000 a month bill is now going to be $5,500 a month, what would you do?
I mean, so that I wanted to go up to our full stock 40 cars, and it was going to then cost. And I just spoke to them yesterday. It was going to cost an extra £1,200 a month, so it was going to be then £5,200 and something pounds a month. I can't afford that. I mean, I just can't afford. I mean, it's just mental. So it's right on the cusp, which is why I've sort of gone back to the starter package, and it's going to save us £300 a month, which will pay for quite a lot of Facebook ads.
Did you see the bonus slots when you were you going to reduce when and did you hang on to the bonus slots?
Because the boost ends at the end on the 1st of June. So I put my 30 days in yesterday, so that I've got the boost for the full period, and then
right,
and then the package will change. So
but getting back to what I was saying though, if literally forget about the starter package, forget about all the different packages. Well, let's go back to the starter package. If they said the starter package that you're on now, that's going to be 3,000. What did you say it was? 3,000 something a month, right? 3,900. So they said the starter package is now $5,500. What would you do?
Yeah, I'd have to reduce stock probably that's on there. I would like to, in all honesty, I would like.
It's interesting you say that. It's interesting you say that. I'd have to reduce stock, and you didn't say, I'll pull off.
I won't pull off because I like Scott said, I like what it gives me. So
there's got to be a break. There's got to be a breaking point though, because
I think you'd have a small
increasing it.
I think the thing is, Stephen, it's even if you had like a small package of say 5 or 10 cars to have their actual like their
data and all that carry on.
The system, the price, that's worth a lot of money. Their system. So, but I think you just reduce cars down, wouldn't you?
Yeah, if they had a 1-car package, but
it's worth having.
It allowed me to use all the tools that they've got. I'd keep it.
Yeah.
Just because that's the way we value cars, that's the way we do. But
if you didn't use Autotrader for the other 39 cars that you had, what use would that tool be to you? Because you wouldn't be going off their values, would you?
Yeah, I suppose. And that's probably why. I guess that's why. I guess your cars are maybe a little bit more expensive, are they, than if you were.
Yeah, they are. I mean, we if I was to slash all the prices of my cars to put them in good price now on Autotrader, I may as well shut the door.
Shut the doors.
Couldn't run the business.
Yeah.
Just that. I'll be honest with you, I don't know how you do it. I genuinely don't know how you set. Everyone's out to cut prices of cars and be, cheaper than him and make sure it's got a good price marker, and you've just got to be on it all the time. I buy a car and I think, right, I've had to give this X for that car. I've had to spend Y on it. I've minted the car. We've prepped it beyond belief, and the car's ready to go. and I put a margin, a good margin across that car. Say, right, that's what I'm going to get back for that car, and I don't care what Autotrader says or what anyone else says.
Massive margin he works on, Theo.
Massive, well, yeah, we do. We work on massive margins.
Someone's got to pay for the Lamborghini.
Correct. I said to him last week, Theo, when I was in Cardiff when we went away, I said I felt really bad for how much he charges for his cars and the margins he's on. I said, I pray for you. I say a little prayer for you every night.
It is the first time it's ever sort of kept me up at night. All the prices, we've never had it like this. So we've had like 12 years of consistent growth. Every year it's come bigger, more sold, more cars, made more money every year. And then this is the first year where I think it's going to take a bit of a dip. And it takes
a wobble.
That's tough because obviously I've been doing it since I was 18. So it's tough for my little to get around that. We're still going to make profit, but it's not going to be anything like what it has been. And it takes your head a little bit of getting used to. I'd love to not be an Autotrader altogether and just work off local customers would be fantastic, but it's just not the real world, is it? So you've got to have an online.
A quick message from our sponsors, DealerWay. Attention DealerPod listeners, do you want a better, quicker, more profitable way of trading out of your part exchanges or overage stock? List your cars on DealerWay today and connect with over 2,000 vetted trade buyers actively looking for vehicles. No hidden fees, no hassle. Start your own custom auctions from your desk or the palm of your hand in our game-changing app. Or advertise your stock on quick, easy, buy it now listens to our eager buyers who are waiting to quickly acquire vehicles. What are you waiting for? Join DealerWay today at dealerway.co.uk and streamline your disposals.
Do you track what you would think Autotrader generates for you as a business? Like, what are they? What would you say is your sales? Would you say they're 100% of your sales or 50 or
no? So it used to be. So up until I reckon middle of last year, it was probably 70%.
Right.
And then this is why we've been having these discussions with my account manager so often, because I just don't think I'm getting the value for money anymore. We had a really, really good start to the year. January, February, March was brilliant, but so much of it was local and big customers and workshop customers. I just didn't think I was getting the value, and still don't think I'm getting the value. So it might be.
Ours is about 50%. We think it's about 48 to 50. I think Autotrader told us it's about 60. So it's probably somewhere in the middle there. But if I'm paying 15,000 a month and say we sell 150 cars a month or something like that, and your price per unit, if you're on 50% as well, your costs per it then is, when you look at it like that, more expensive.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. It's hard to take that, especially as obviously we haven't grown anything like you guys have grown, or some of you. We're quite risk adverse anyway, so to take a leap off there altogether is quite a big step if we were going to do that.
Got you buy these. They've got you buy these, haven't they?
Yeah, same as the customers have.
Yeah. Theo, moving on a little bit from Autotrader, because obviously there is other advertising platforms and there's other ways to acquire customers,
but not as good.
So obviously you've got your own sort of unique advertising platform, I suppose, because you're one of the little growing number of dealers that's creating content and putting it out on YouTube and with your own YouTube channel. And I noticed you had it a while ago and you stopped for a while, didn't you? But you've recently started back up and doing that. Can you just explain for everyone what that process is like? Because I suppose it's an alien thing for 99% of dealers to and probably a scary thing to think, well, I've got to start my own YouTube channel as well.
Yeah.
It's a lot of extra hard legwork as well, isn't it?
So I started doing walk around videos at the start of COVID. So every car was getting a walk around video. So obviously you got to set up a YouTube channel to do that. So I did that. They were getting good feedback, and I was like, well, over COVID and stuff, you got more time. You're at home a bit more and all that sort of thing. I started doing like a vlog, like a weekly vlog. And I'd started doing it because I'd watched James at Bowens Garage. He'd started doing them. And I was like, oh, they're quite cool. Yeah. So I started doing it. And then I spoke to James quite a bit and went and saw him a couple of times. And he was like, well, just go for it. Just do it a bit more. So I did for about 12 months. And then we came back after COVID. And we were so busy at the garage. Like everybody was. I just had just had no time at all. So I just had to go back to just doing the walk around videos. And then we've gone a bit quiet the last 2 months. So I just thought I've got a bit more time. We've got more valeters now. I've just got a bit more time on my hands, and I enjoyed doing it. So I thought, well, let's get back into it. My brother makes his whole living off TikTok and Instagram in a different sector, but he makes this a much better living than I could ever think to make off doing that.
What does he do again? Sorry, you've mentioned this before on the group.
He talks about Arsenal, basically.
Oh, yes, sorry. Was he not on Arsenal Fan TV or something?
Yeah, he's been on that, and he's been on TalkSport quite a bit, and he does some adverts with Betfred, and he's on quite a lot, does quite a lot of stuff.
Living the life, isn't he?
Yeah, he bloody is.
Apart from he's an Arsenal fan.
That's the downfall, yeah.
So he's been sort of guiding me. He does my thumbnails and that sort of thing. And he said, well, just go for it. He said, it's free advertising for a start, and you can make some money off it. So it's a no-brainer, really. But now I'm trying to get like 3 videos out a week. It takes a bit of editing, as you know, with this sort of thing. And you're always having to think of stuff to do. And obviously the business has still got to be the main priority until you get into the big leagues like Joe and that sort of thing, when you're making proper money at it. If it helps us make the business busier, then that's the main thing.
Calls.
And then if it takes off, it takes off. And, you can look at getting somebody, a social media person in, but that's a long way off yet, I think, to be fair.
And have you noticed a positive impact in sales or any inquiries or anything yet?
We've bought a few off it. So I bought more than I've sold it, to be fair.
That's good though, isn't it?
Yeah, and we've had people come in and see us and bring us a few gifts and that sort of thing, which is nice. But obviously it all takes time, doesn't it? And it only takes one bad comment to make you feel like shit.
I tell you what we had this week, Theo, was the podcast I came on Shifting Metal with you and the boys. My son said to us last night, he says, I had a customer come buy a car from us, and he says, I know your dad. And William was like, well, how do you know my dad? And he said, well, I don't really know him, but he says, I watched this podcast on Shifting Metal. And he says, and I Googled Scott and seen it was Redgate Lodge. So I went on the website and then found the car, and then he bought the car. So he actually, I've pulled a car off his, which, you talk about the power of these type of things. That was good feedback.
And the thing about it is, it's all free. So YouTube's free to do, unless you're paying somebody to do it, but YouTube's free to do, TikTok's free to do, Instagram's free to do. It's all free. And, if it helps you sell the odd car here and there, it's worth doing, I think.
If you can invest 15 grand a month into TikTok and YouTube.
Well, that's it. I was just going to say exactly the same thing, Martin. There you go, Scott. You can now sell the car off a podcast. You can now
15 grand a month.
Autotrader.
15 grand a month doesn't far off pay. It's like 10% will pay for a social media person, isn't it?
Well, I've got somebody who does my paid socials, and he's. I was telling him how much to spend on Autotrader, and he was like, "Wow!" Just like didn't believe it, And he says, "Oh, because we spend about $1,000 a week on Facebook." And he said, I wouldn't mind the 15 grand a month just to put that on. He says, I can show you some things what I can do with that. But obviously, it's just the worry, isn't it?
Well, there's the one for you then, right? So, to be fair, I'd probably say since COVID, there's probably been a rise in YouTube, hasn't there?
Oh, of course.
In dealerships, there's more and more. I mean, we've seen the Sheikhs doing it as well.
Especially independents, more.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, in the independent world. Yeah. And to be fair, independents over the last 15 years have got bigger and better and probably a lot more far superior now than main dealers in a way for customer care and things like that. But what I was alluding to was, with the rise in dealers investing in YouTube, is that not a worry for the likes of Autotrader?
I think it should be.
Should be, yeah.
You know what I mean? Is that one where you
social media,
they're probably sitting there?
Yeah, any kind of social media.
Yeah.
People don't.
When dealers.
I mean, I don't know.
Sorry, go on, Theo.
People don't watch. I don't watch TV anymore. I watch YouTube.
No. Yeah, I do as well.
I didn't. To be honest, to be truthful, but I'm old. Until Stephen and I got together about Dealerway and the DealerPod, he was saying he was watching all these YouTube, and I was like, watching YouTube, and I like watch box sets, boring shit, And but he got me into the YouTube, and I hadn't watched any of Joe's or anything like that. and then they're great to watch. And sometimes some on, you sit there, but you do just get like sucked in. You end up starting to just watch them. Even though the ones I've been watching are like motor trade related, where you'd think, well, you just want to go home, you don't really want to know about the motor trade, but it just gives you an insight of other people's day and how they're going.
People like the real world, don't they? They like to know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? People, it's all, you can watch soap operas and all that made up shit.
But everyone else is having the same problem as well.
People like
or the same highs.
And if you do it right, I think we're quite closed, so there's boys that are a lot more open about everything than they're giving all the figures and all that sort of thing, which I wouldn't do. But yeah, I don't watch TV. I just go home and watch YouTube, and I know so many people that do. So I think it's. Obviously, I guess YouTube will end up becoming like a paid service, like everything else does. But
I don't think it ever will.
You don't?
I don't think it ever will.
I think there's a lot of advertisers that are moving over that way as well, aren't there? Because I think it depends on it goes back to how many people are using them instead of TV. The younger generation are on YouTube, so any advertisers are probably heavily into that.
Yeah, it's just
you know why I think.
Go on.
Sorry, go on, Peter.
No, go on.
Why I think it's the new form of advertising, I suppose, because that's what it is at the end of the day. Everyone's on there to advertise themselves or their brand or their business or whatever it may be. But I think it's because if you put an advert in a paper or you put an advert on Autotrader for a car, it's a bit soulless, isn't it? You're just looking at a product or a car, whatever it may be. You put something out on even Facebook or Instagram, but mainly YouTube, and you're seeing the actual person behind that brand, and you obviously evidently you're interested in the eventual product that you want to buy from them. But yeah, people buy from people, don't they? And I know we're using all this technology, and everyone's on their phones and everyone's on the iPads and devices all the time. And we've got AI coming into it, and we've got YouTube and algorithms and Facebook and Instagram, TikTok, and all the rest of it. But when you break that all down and get rid of all that, people buy from people, and it's the person that's on the screen that you're watching that people are invested in, and people enjoy watching and think, Well, going back to that guy that bought the car, Scott, obviously he's watched you and he's obviously took a liking to you. I don't know why, but he's obviously took a liking to you.
Don't know why.
Don't know why.
He was a man of God.
He's took a liking to you. And the same with Theo, he's had people coming to sell him cars off the back of his YouTube. They can go and sell a car anywhere. There's millions of places that you can go and sell your car. And type into Google anywhere, and there's thousands of companies bidding to on the search terms to buy a car from you, but they've went out the way and they've sucked out Theo because they've watched Theo's content and they like Theo, and that's all it is. It's just that. I think that's why Joe's been so Joe Betty for anyone wondering who we had on the podcast, who actually went down to see recently. I think that's why he's been so successful.
He's very likable.
He's very likable as well, and he comes across really good on the camera.
And the accent as well, Stephen. He's got a good accent. So Theo as well. Theo's got a good accent. Where was Joe?
I think
they're quite popped onto those two. We're a bit rough.
We're a bit rough and ready, aren't we?
Yeah. You got a friendly accent.
It's weird. It's weird when I talk to me. It's weird when I talk to my sister, because my sister was brought up in Hereford.
Oh,
so she's obviously from Newcastle. So she went down with a Geordie accent, and now she talks very much like you. So bit weird when I'm talking to her.
I think the thing is, I don't know about you, Scott. I don't know how old the bloke who came in and bought the car off you was, but it seems that everybody who's watching my channel seems to be between 40 and 70. So I know what you said, Stephen, but I would still say I reckon the kids that are coming up that are 18, 20 looking at cars, I think they hate people. I think it scares them going to speak to people, to be honest. I think they're more likely to just click a button and have it delivered. But I think the older, our sort of age and a bit older are still going to be, they still want to see people. I reckon the younger people, maybe not quite so much.
I get what
Amazon
you're saying,
though, isn't it?
Sorry, go on.
I'm just saying it's like your Amazon thing. The younger people now want everything yesterday. So they expect if they order a parcel or order a dress or a pair of trainers or whatever, it's there the next day. So I do agree with you, Theo, on that.
Even the younger people are following people they want to. You know, they're following. Maybe he's not the greatest role model to give out as a name, but like your Andrew Tates that they're following. Even this bloody porn actress, what's she called, who's famous at the minute?
I wouldn't know that.
I don't know any of them.
Theo wouldn't know. What's she called, man? Bonnie Blue or whatever. You know, all these people that are getting Instagram famous and that, they're buying that, whatever they're selling, aren't they? In that they're buying off from what they're selling because they've got an interest in that person. You know, there's a lot of people. I mean, Gary V and that chuck. You know, like the sort of young wannabe business people, entrepreneurs, and what have you. They follow him like he's a god. You know, and anything he says turns to gold, and he can sell anything off the back of his personal brand. So I get what you're saying, Theo, but I do still think even younger people. I think if they've only just been introduced to that person, yeah, I agree. But I think with been following someone for a long period of time, it builds up the confidence in them because it almost feels like they know you, and even though you haven't got a clue who they are.
That is the thing with YouTube, I think. If you keep, because it's very easy to come on and jump off again, so you could easily have a go at it, try it for 6 weeks, go, bloody hell, this is hard work, and you're getting like 50 views on a video, and you're like, Christ, I'm putting all this effort in. But obviously, same as what's happened to Joe and Chops and whatever, it just compounds. And then it will start to help the business, I think, because obviously people are watching them. The more eyes you're getting, as long as you're doing the right thing and not coming across as a total dick, I think you'll be. I think it will help in the long term.
I'm very surprised that Rob Cubitt, who's got the Logbook channel. I'm very surprised his hasn't like took off a lot more because he's a dead and enthusiastic and likeable bloke as well.
I think he's coming up to 15,000 now, so he's getting there.
Yeah, he's starting to get there. Yeah, I'm just talking about in comparison to like that Calvin's Car Diary or Joe, who've got like hundreds of thousands, you know.
I think mine will have a little bit because obviously the cars we're selling aren't particularly exciting. So, you know, there's going to be a certain demographic who are going to watch it, but people who want to see exciting cars are not going to be watching my channel, that's for sure.
He has a lovely 15-inch wheel.
Yeah, but you maybe need to lean into that niche a bit more. Do a bit like knitting content and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I could do actually. watching the paint dry on the back of the office wall. People would watch it. That's the thing about YouTube. People would watch it.
Yeah.
It's a good niche that you've got though for you. I think, you know, the low mileage, smaller car. You know, I think it shows a lot of trust in the brand that everything that you do is just low mileage and, you know, exudes confidence for a buyer.
We were having a chat.
There's a dealer close to us, Alex Scott's, and they specialise in low mileage and been established for years, and they do a very good job and very well respected in the area, and they just do low mileage cars.
Yeah, I think it's holding us back a little bit at the minute, possibly. Like I said, we had a really good start to the year, but the last couple of months have been quite tough. And I was talking to Dad about it because we're all on that group, aren't we? And I knew Stephen was you have been really busy. And Chops has been really busy, and James Alford's been really busy, and you've all got similar. You're selling cars that are, you know, I guess sub 10K, and cars that people need them. So you know, James Alford does so much on finance, and I know you're the same. It's people who need cars, and then guys at the prestige end. So I know Rob Cubitt's very busy. I guess you're busy, Scott. You're always busy, but I guess who else is busy? Oh, Rory Anderson's flat out as well, and Paul Jackson, and they're selling like BMWs, Mercs, and all that sort of thing, like desirable end. And we're right in the middle. And I think at the middle is the struggle at the minute, because you've always got people who need cars and have got to have cars.
Yeah,
those who've got the money to buy the nicer cars. I think people in the middle, which is where I sit, is people who want cars but they don't necessarily need one, and they think, oh, well, my car's an extra year older, I might get something else. That's why I think we've gone a bit quiet in my head.
I think as well, I think with yours, Theo, when we get a super low mileage car in, I mean, personally from me, if the buyers give us one, I say, oh, the miles are too low, it's killed it. Because obviously it puts the value of the car up.
Yeah, of course.
Maybe, you know, and maybe it's in these kind of times where people are, you know, watching, you know, their pennies, so to speak, and how much they're spending on cars. They're maybe not given the thought, you know, thinking, like, we'll buy this because it's low mileage, but it might be £2,000 more than a one with 50,000 mile or 60,000 mile on. So they think, well, I'll better get in the newer car with average miles for £2,000 less because we're watching more pennies, that could possibly have an impact on it.
I agree, definitely. I think I would struggle like hell to buy that sort of stuff because
It's hard, yeah.
everybody wants it.
Yeah.
It's all the very low mileage stuff. Like it skews the Autotrader price, obviously. So I don't want to I don't want to go back to them again, but we can have some quite nice margins because I can still buy the stuff that's very low mileage because, like you say, you don't want it because it's too low, and most people will be the same. So we don't struggle to buy stock because the uber low mileage stuff, I feel like I've got a really good shout at buying, and that's what we're known for. So I don't want to start straying into stuff that's done 60, 70, 80,000 really, because then we are the same as everybody else.
Yeah.
What about
you need a different site for that.
What about car sourcing, Theo? Where would you mainly buy your stock from?
Trade to trade, as in trade.
Really?
Not just trade to trade.
Just from the trade, yeah.
From the trade, yeah. That's just building up.
So people will ring you because they'll have something which is super low mileage, and they'll know that that's the car for you.
That's for me, yeah. And I just get WhatsApps, and just people we've met over the years. So I deal with the same people. Although we have had to dip back into the auctions a bit more this year because I think their stock has been harder to get, and because there's just not the cars available, is there? So they're not being offered as much, which means I'm not being offered as much, which means I'm having to go to the auctions, which means I'm bidding against you guys, and then all of a sudden it just it puts the prices up. So I've had to buy a lot more from auction this year, which has been tough because there's been more problems.
Which auction do you use?
Mannheim.
Do you find them all right? Do you not use BCA at all, or do you stick with Mannheim? Just Mannheim, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't used BCA 10 years probably.
Right.
Now they've taken over Aston Bartley, we'll see, because I do use Aston Bartley a little bit. So it might force our hand to have to get an account with them. Yeah, Mannheim mostly out of Bristol, which is my local one. Yeah, I don't know. I've probably bought last year. I think we bought 25 cars in the whole year from auction out of 320, and this year I've already bought 60. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
What about Motorway and CarWow platforms like that? No.
CarWow did reach out about doing some ads for them last week, actually, on the YouTube channel.
Oh, that's good, isn't it?
I said I need to get to grips with the platform first before I can start sort of thing. So I don't know.
Do you have a look on Dealerway? Because I put a Fiesta on there last week, and it had only done 12,000 mile, and my course on there would have done 18,000 and something.
I am on there every day, to be fair. I've sold a couple.
Have a look.
Yeah. But I guess you just need to get that. Just need to get the stock up, don't you?
We need to get the volume up there.
Yeah.
We've got some big irons and some big fires coming. So watch this space. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Everything takes time, doesn't it? Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I'll tell
you
what.
Autotrader stock magazine.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So Theo, actually, I wanted to ask you. You've obviously had yourself a workshop for a while, and I assume when you went in, and you had no experience of manning the workshop, running the workshop, that it was a steep learning curve for you.
Very.
We're talking about the WhatsApp group. You see on this morning what I put in the WhatsApp group this morning about I was moving premises and taking some texts on myself. I did actually used to have at my old site a few mechanics, but I never really had a handle on it. Could you give me any advice if I was going to move to this new site and take on a few technicians of my own? What advice would you give us? What would you tell us to not do? What would you tell us I need to do?
I'd get yourself a good prep service manager who can look after it all, really, so you don't have to be so hands-on with every job. Obviously everybody wants good mechanics, and it's so difficult to get good mechanics. But yeah, we were lucky we inherited good ones, and they've all stuck with us. But yeah, I just think having somebody who can run it day to day without you having to be too involved, who knows what they're doing, knows the prep that you expect, knows what you need out of each car. So the guys that work for me know how I want a car to go out, so that they know whether I'll let a tyre go or whether I'll let pads go or whatever. That just takes a bit of time. but it's just getting the boys that are capable in the first place, really. And same as getting any staff, isn't it? You've got to look after them, and you've got to. It's the same as any staff. They've just got to know what they're doing, and then just realise your expectations. Really, I think.
So that person who you're talking about being like the manager almost, he wouldn't be on the tools. He would be just be someone overseeing them.
Knows his stuff, so knows his way around a car, but maybe has been a mechanic in the past potentially. So ours used to do that, and then has become a service manager from there.
Well, I've got someone who works for us already who's he already sort of like checks pre-checks every car before we send it anywhere. He orders all the parts and all the rest of it. So he would, I suppose, assume that role.
Yeah.
So it would just be.
I mean, we wouldn't.
Good mechanics I would need.
I'm not sure I would manage without having techs on site. I don't know how I don't know how anybody does it without having them.
Yeah.
Absolute nightmare chasing cars around and waiting for other garages and.
Well, we put 56 out the door last month and don't have a garage on site. It's hard. It's you're like full time at it, and it makes it even more harder when you start getting comebacks, and the customer wants their car looked at now, and you're not in control of the garages, the external garages where you're sending the work to, and you can't get them to drop what they're doing, because ideally, we would take that phone call and would say, right, that Mondeo that you're prepping now, just down tools on that. This little course out coming in, sort that out, right? Get that out the door, right? Yes, Mr. Customer, it's all sorted for you. Sorry for the inconvenience. There you go. There's your call back. Done.
We've got
our process is a lot more long-winded.
Yeah, we've got three techs. They're all MOT testers, which is useful. So we've got 2 guys doing public work all day, every day. And then I've got 1 guy who does sales all day, every day. And that means that they can, like you say, if somebody calls up and says, I bought the car off you 2 weeks ago and it's got a knock on the front or whatever, you just just come by, just pop by, and they can pause the other job. And then we used to struggle a bit when we had, when we weren't quite as big as we are now, and we'd have workshop work, all 3 mechanics doing workshop work, and then we'd just book the car sales ones in as and when, and that got and taking them to another garage then, to be honest. But now we've got 1 guy just doing it permanently. It gives you a lot more flexibility. And
is he ever not busy though? Is he ever standing around with nothing to do?
No, never. No. In fact, I thought we'd start getting a lot of cars prepped really quickly and get them all ready to drive away. But it's when one mechanic,
you can't get that.
Still prepping 30 cars a month. There's still. It's a car, isn't it? And some of them need a bit less, but some of them, once you're doing a cam belt or the old clutch and warranty claims that come back and so on, he's flat out.
Do you still find that there's still work that you still need to sub out somewhere else that your guys maybe haven't got the tools for, or whatever, the software?
No, we're doing the wet belts now, and then the rest of it. So we do a lot of Fiestas. Obviously, they've all got bloody wet belts. But the rest of it, we don't sell much that's too complicated, to be fair. So we don't do Jaguar Land Rover stuff that we need to sub out. We've got an air conditioning man that comes around for a mobile guy for the stuff we're struggling with on that. And then the rest of it, alloy wheels and paint and everything, they come to me. So, we don't have to ferry cars too much, to be honest, because I think that's just a massive time killer, isn't it? And you've got to have somebody doing it.
Stephen, I think, if you're going to do that and you're going to set up, I would say you need, like Theo said, a good service guy, like a service manager. If I was starting from scratch, you want not an ex-mechanic, but a qualified mechanic who's sick of being on the tools.
Exactly.
Maybe he's a little bit older, but very knowledgeable. Good on the phone, and you wouldn't be doing retail, so he'd be ordering the parts for the other techs, but he could be like 50% hands-on. He could be their knowledge to help somebody do something. He could use the diagnostic equipment. He could maybe be the MOT tester who does the MOTs, but he would oversee anything. And then when you have mechanics, you could then have maybe a couple of junior mechanics who know the basics, who's not going to be too expensive, where he would guide them and also bring them on a little bit as well. They would learn from him. So if it was me, I would put the money into the one man who was a bit of an all-rounder, older guy, wanted to be off the tools, who could train up a couple of the other guys. And I think that would nail it. Because if you had 2 or 3 fully qualified like master techs on big money, and then you had somebody on the front desk ordering parts and not much else, wage would be the balance.
You don't need that for 60 of your own retail cars, do you? I don't think. Definitely not. So obviously, because we're doing public work as well, so it's a little bit different. But if you're only prepping your own cars, I mean, I don't know what sort of stock you have altogether, but I can't imagine it's like massively complicated jobs on every car, is it? I don't expect that.
No, I mean, the major, I mean, I'm just calling them major, but really clutches and gearboxes would be like the main sort of major jobs, which I'm assuming most proficient techs can do that. It's, I suppose it's mainly when you get, the diagnostic stuff that, can be troublesome. You've got to start finding what's wrong with cars. Maybe that's where we might fall down a little bit. I don't know.
But then you could farm that out. So if you had something a bit tricky, you just farm that out to a couple of good garages who specialize, like a BMW specialist or a Vauxhall specialist or whatever, and just get rid of those jobs because they're the ones who they'll bog up your workshop and they'll slow the whole process down. You're better off just farming those out and then just keeping your normal run rate going.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I would definitely, if you're considering it and you can find the right place, if you can't do it on your own site as it is, I think it's a good investment. You got valeters on site, have you, I guess?
I've got valeters, but they're not on site. So I've got like a separate site, which is literally 500 meters or something away down the road, 1,000 meters or whatever it is. So that's off site. But, when I've been looking at this place, it's all encompassing, so it's got space for. I'm desperate, really, because we use AI at the minute for the backgrounds of the photos. But I really like my own photo bay, so I could put a photo bay in there. I could put maybe three ramps in there. I could have the valeters on site, so everyone's plus the atmosphere around the place. I'd imagine if I just employed one mechanic on his own, he'd get very bored very quickly and want to leave. So if you've got everyone sort of,
you struggle to get one on their own.
Yeah, exactly.
They're nervous because if
they bounce stuff off each other.
If they can't fix anything, like they'd be worrying. Just trying to get one is hard. So if you're trying to open a workshop with none, it is quite hard to get over that first hurdle because there's a lot of you see it on Facebook. A lot of dealers they're advertising for a tech, and could be that they haven't got any other techs, and they're doing exactly what you're doing and trying to get the tech. And I think I know I've got a feeling that they're so sick they'll put like 50,000 a year and 60,000 trying to get somebody. And even the mechanics read it and go, "That's not right. That's that'll not last." Or so trying to get one's very difficult. But if you got your good service guy who was X tools who would do 50%, you get him, and then he could possibly attract people from there. That would be the way of doing it.
The only problem is that the member of staff I've got at the moment who does all me sort of PDIs, I suppose, and checks the cars over and buys all the parts and does the driving around and all the rest of it. I don't want to get rid of his role. I want to keep him in the business because he's a big valued member of the team and works hard and what have you. So my idea was to sort of make him, in charge of the technicians. I suppose don't get us wrong, he's not an ex-mechanic, but he's knowledgeable. He knows his way around the car and what have you.
You may struggle with that.
Really?
Personally, I think you might struggle. You spoke very highly of him in that, but for me, it would be better getting the senior guy in to mentor him and bring him on a little bit more, so he's not running cars around. He could actually be on a bit more.
I can't afford to take on 100 staff.
Well, no, you get one guy in. One's your new guy, isn't he? That's
so what. What are you proposing?
Get somebody who's wants to be a fully qualified, good, knowledgeable mechanic, an older guy who's been on the doors, reliable, and he's in his prime, like his 50s, and get him in, and he'll mentor your guy who you says does all the PDIs. He'll work with him. He'll work with him. And if he's looking at this, he could show him out. I don't know if he can just change his discs and pads and things like that.
He could do all that now, I think.
Well, he could tag team with him and bring him on a little bit more. So your guy would still be doing what he's doing, but he's not leaving the business and he's still doing what he's doing. But I think that's a good starting point.
So bring a really knowledgeable bloke on, but to still be on the tools, and then have maybe sort of junior one with them.
Yeah, half on the tools or a little bit on the tools. But the other thing is what you need to be very careful is if you get somebody in and you tell them that you sell them the dream and say you're not really going to be on the tools, and they end up being a mechanic on the tools. Well, he's just going to bounce, isn't he?
They're going to walk straight away.
Yeah, he's going to bounce. So you got to be careful how you do it and be truthful with people how you want to set it up. But also the knowledgeable guy, he's probably worked with stacks of mechanics and might know a couple of what you want's a couple of fast fit techs, a bit like quick fit, Halfords. The fast fit techs are good. So if he was knowledgeable in two of them, that's what you got.
Just smashing through the pads and discs and the tires and like the easy stuff. And then you want someone who's a bit more knowledgeable who can, if he has got a, you know, like Scott says, doesn't want to be on the tools every day, but if he needs to go and diagnose something, he can do and can research stuff. And our service manager's 62. So he is getting now, but he's been with us he's been with the company for 15, 16 years and was a mechanic with forklifts and stuff like that. So, but they're hard to find. Don't get me wrong.
We started a new guy today and he's in his 50s. I haven't met him yet. And he's, the lads are all speaking very well of him. And he had his own garage years ago, you know, so, you know, all the timing chains, clutches, you know, belts, all that, that's just a given to him, you know. And just gets on with it, and just a nice person to have on the team. So we're lucky to find him. He came, so he was good. So there are people out there.
Yeah, good stuff. Theo, we're sort of running out of time, but we ask everyone this on the podcast. If you're very experienced now in what you do, both car sales and the preparation of cars, have you got any advice for anyone starting out on their journey in the motor trade, what you'd like to pass on?
All the best.
All the best. Good luck.
He's watched a few of these pods before, and he's been waiting to say that.
Yeah. Theo's only 21.
No, I just think just don't try and cut corners. If you're going to do it properly, and play the cars right, advertise them right, and you can make there's still a good business to be had doing this. You've just got to, there'll be lots of people that will come and go in the time that we've all been doing it because they just cut corners and don't prep the cars properly, don't have that attention to detail. And I think if you do, I mean, I was brought into it. So obviously, but because my dad had been doing it for so long, it was, but not by himself, but main dealers and stuff like that. You know, I sort of just learnt it it was a given. As soon as I started, I didn't really have to learn. You just sort of pick it up as if you're riding a bike, really. But yeah, I think just don't cut corners. If you're going to do it right. And that's about it, really, I would say. But keep it. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to be fair, I wouldn't want to be starting now. I think you'd have to be brave to be starting now in the current climate.
I agree, yeah. I agree.
But obviously, we're doing these other podcasts. I think they're starting up again, the Mentors podcast, where we're trying to teach people how to start. But you've got to have some balls to be going for it at the minute, I think. Once you're into it, like obviously now, after 13 years of doing it, I feel like I know quite a bit, but I still definitely don't know everything. Still learning every week.
No, but I'm still learning every day.
And when it goes a bit quiet, you start second guessing yourself, and you think, oh, we're still doing it right. It's worked for this time, but why? Is that still the way people are buying cars? Is it still the way? And then you'll sell 7 or 8 the next week, and you're like, oh yeah, it's fine, it's normal.
You know how this industry messes with your head like that, and you're up and down, you have a sleepless night, and depression, and all sorts. And they've got the Ben charity for mental health and all sorts. Do you think there's any other industries what like really messes with your head like the motor trade does?
I think most self-employed businesses probably mess around with your head. I think so, yeah. Unless you've got something that's like, I expect plumbing and stuff like that. Once you've got your customers, haven't you? But cars is because it is an expensive purchase, isn't it? And cars are they make people so volatile in their reactions to things. So, do you know what I mean? You never get a 3-star review. So you either get a 5-star because the car's either been great or it's broken down. And so I think it's probably the toughest business to be in terms of ups and downs. Definitely, that's why we don't change too much. I think because I'm not a very up and down person. I try to be like pretty chilled most of the time. But even I struggle, and I've been doing it for a long time. So I don't know. It's definitely a tough business to be in. Yeah, I don't know what other businesses would be quite so volatile, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think there's any in the other industry. Or I don't think there's any industry that's got like the same mindset as the industry that we're in. I think everyone that's in it's going nuts.
Yeah. Do you think?
Yeah, a lot they are. Car dealers are, aren't they? Yeah.
We're a different breed.
Why do you think we're in it? Do you think it's because we've got? Is it egos? Is it? I mean, there's definitely easier ways to make money than.
100%.
I still think it's a thrill.
I'm in it because I'm stupid and I can't do anything else.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Well, there's that as well. That's a good element. I think most of us haven't got any qualifications.
Nah.
We're
I've
lazy,
got one.
messed around at school. Messed around at school.
Woodwork.
Yeah.
And I think we're all out for that sort of like that dopamine fix, aren't we? Like that quick sort of buck. Oh, it's been crap. Yeah. And then the next day it's like, done 3 the day. Took $2,500 out of that one. We're flying again. It's the best job in the world. Yeah. And I just think we'll live for that dopamine hit. I think that's what it is.
And some of the people in the motor trade, like a lot of these salesmen, some of these really good salesmen, when I first came into the trade, they went, a lot of them are thick as mints, but they're going to earn doctor's wages. You know, you go to university and college or whatever it is to become a doctor, a junior doctor and things like that. And then the amount of money these, top salesmen are getting, it's just wipe the floor with all them. And even people like firearms, police officers and things like that. And the wages are on the direct website thing. You think, how are we getting that? And we've got like valeters on more money and, and it's just mad how it all works.
I keep saying we only get, in this industry, we get paid to talk to people. That's all we do. Because if they want to buy it, they're buying it. If they don't, they don't. We'll get paid to talk to people.
Yeah.
Anyways, on that, Theo, it was good to talk to you today.
Yeah,
mate.
great.
Really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me on.
Hopefully we'll get you back on in the future, mate. It was good crack.
Yes, thanks, Theo.
Cheers. Thanks, appreciate it.
Cheers, Theo.
Just so before we go, if everyone's enjoyed that podcast, please make sure that you do like and subscribe to see more content. And if you are a car dealer or if you're in the motor trade in some way, shape or form, if you would like to maybe sit in Theo's seat and come on the podcast and have a talk to us, please get in touch with us. Email us at hello@dealerway.co.uk and we'll see about getting you on as well. Thanks, everyone. Cheers.
Thank you.
Speak soon. Bye.
Cheers.